This will be part 2 of the installation of the Ultrex trolling motor. This is a 36 volt, 112 pound thrust, 52-inch shaft. As you can see, I've got the shaft stowed in the longest position possible. It's all the way down on the mount. And I have to do this in order to get the travel cover to get on it. Now the travel cover that I've got is a Triton custom cover, but it's made for a motor guide. But it still will fit, and all you have to do is sew a strap or two on each side of the front part of the boat where it matches up with the motor guide, or the ultrex in this case, but where it matches up with it, and you put a little tension on the straps and it's good to go. So that part worked out real good. You can see how I've got it laid out here on the deck. This is a 2008 Triton bass boat. If you look down here and you'll see where I took the console part. This is where I had everything torn apart. These are all my sonar wires that are coming out here now, as you can see. All sonar wires. This is a bracket that's been fabricated for, I got a touch 9 that goes on there with the bracket. And you can see there's the foot pedal down in there. You can see how good it fits. It fits in there real good, front to back, left and right. I positioned it like that and brought the cabling out that way because it seemed to work out the best. It lays down nice and flat. It misses the sonar. It'll lay down in the boat real well, and then when you put it into the water, it rolls down into the water real well. So there's the completed pedal. I've got a screw in the back holding it down, and I've got 2 bolts in the front holding it down. It helps deter from theft, from somebody stealing the pedal, and just makes it more solid when you're working the pedal, especially on windy days and running it on rough water. So then here would be the mount. There's the mount on the boat. And you can see how I've got it running flush with the bow. You can see that there's the strap that holds it down. Now, I had to mount that on there twice to finally figure out how to get it on the right way. We'll come around like this where you can see here. You can see where I put this on. If you put it on with this silver part here on this side, that when you unstrap it, you have all this slack on the Velcro side that hangs off in the water. So you have to mount it to where the silver strap goes on that part of the boat. Okay, we'll come down to here and you can see how I've got it mounted in. The way this is sitting right here, the way the bracket sits on the hull of the boat, this particular boat, again, it's a 2008 Triton 20X2. You're supposed to have 1.5 inches from this bow rub rail out to the shaft of the trolling motor. When I got it mounted in the old motor guide holes, it mounted 1.25 inches. So I had to remount it, and now that I've got it mounted, it's 1.75 inches. And the manual says as long as it's 1.5 inches, then it's good to go. So that's how I had to mount that. You can see here how that sticks off about that far. It wouldn't fit in the motor guide mounts, and it wouldn't fit in a Fortrex mount. And you can see there's the holes down into it. I have a hole that's out here on this outside bracket. The outside bracket out here, you take off this plastic piece here, then there's a metal bracket under there that you take off, and you remove those two and you get access to 2 holes down there. So I've got one of the hold down bolts right down in here underneath this plastic bracket. Then I got the rest of them. You can see that they're in just a normal position. I just drilled holes in the existing holes already in the base of the ultrex, pardon me. And you can see how I've got them in. I ended up using 6 bolts to get it stowed down, and you can see there's the hold down strap. And it's a must-have because the magnets that are in here, if you're running in heavy water with big rollers, or if TVA's pulling current or something like that, you don't want to bust up the magnets inside, so you definitely are going to want to put that strap on. Some of you say that you don't want that strap on there, but I highly recommend it. And you can see here's the piston on the inside. It's an assist piston that comes with it. It'll be disconnected. You'll have to put it into this open hole here. It goes in with a screw on this side and a screw on the other. These two plastic bushings here have to go in between on each side. And the key to putting this on is to pull the bracket in a 45-degree angle pardon me, a 90-degree angle, and then that piston will slide right in and there'll be no problem. So that's that. And then here's the cabling. You can see the cabling coming around under the boat, and I'll come back to here where you can see how I've got it stowed in. You can see how I've got it stowed down. There it is. There's your cabling laying around, and you can see the foot pedal. That was, for me, the best layout on that cabling. And again, I got a little bit of slack. I wired the cabling in the first time, as you can see right here, and I went ahead and here it comes out. I'll go ahead and show you around here. Here it comes out of the head, comes out of the ultrex head, and it's coming around and coming down in with the bracket for the sonar. At first I had the slack out of here that the instructions said to use, but that didn't work out for me. It wasn't necessary. And I ran it down inside of the actual wiring here where the loops are at on the actual ultrex itself. I ran it down, and they said here to give a 8 to 10 inch loop here. That wasn't necessary. I ended up giving about a 5-inch, 6-inch loop, and it's a little bit more tighter here. I did put 2 tie straps right there to anchor it in place, and that was all I needed. The rest of this now will allow the head. It will allow the head of the ultrex to rotate fully around either direction, and this is all the slack you're ever going to need in it. So it tucks up real nice, and then of course there's my tie straps going down. I didn't cinch them down real tight. I didn't want to dent the transducer cable, but you can see how I've got it running. How it runs all nice and neat down through the boat, and there's your bracketing, and then there's your heading sensor. As you can see, the heading sensor, that was the only place that I could find using a compass that didn't have a magnetic draw. Now, the magnetic draw that everybody talks about mainly is coming from the trolling motor magnets themselves in the lower unit down there. And pretty much, you almost can't find no place up here to put that in the bow. To be safe, you probably should put it farther back or on the console or something. I don't like doing that. So I went ahead and decided to put mine up front. It had a little interference, but not really that much. I've used a hand control, and it seems to all just work fine. So for me, this is how it all worked out. And this is the installed product. This is the way the 52-inch shaft looks on a 2008 Triton bass boat. There's the foot pedal. There's the way the cables run. And you can see here's the bounce buster on there. You just simply reverse this in a backwards fashion. Put it where you think it's going to go. Bring it up here to the top. Take a black magic marker and mark it. Flip it back over, and you saw it. You can saw it with a hacksaw or a die grinder, whatever works for you. Then thread it back in, and then just keep adjusting that. Keep adjusting the bounce buster up and down, and you can thread it in and thread it out, and then that'll give you all the room you need. I got mine down where mine's pretty snug. Mine's pretty snug. See, there's no movement on mine whatsoever. But that's pretty much the final product with the installing in part 2 of this video. You can see how it lays down real nice and good. It's a nice looking unit. I've used it a couple times. The spot lock works extremely well. It does a real good job. In my opinion, if I was going to install one of these, here's something that I probably would do. Probably would go to your hardware store, and I would get some hex head bolts instead of these instead of the Phillips head bolts, and make sure they're stainless steel, but I would probably get them instead. That way you can use ratchets on the top and bottom. You'll have no problem with anything stripping or any problems like that. You might want to lube those threads up too when you're putting them in, because you're using the nylock type lock washers when you go on, and a lot of times, I don't care how good you get them on, the nylock part will go sideways as you're tightening, and it can seize up on you. They get hot and they can seize up on there, and then you're just ruined. So that's why it's better to use the ratchets, in my opinion. So I definitely would do that. I do think that the piston is probably the same in the one they used on the Fortrex trolling motor that Minn Kota uses, and I think it should be a little heavier duty on this one. This is a heavier item than the Fortrex, and I think that piston should be beefed up a little bit. Maybe in the future maybe they'll do something like that, or maybe a recall or something, because it's a little heavy, and I think it could be just a little more powerful. But there it is, complete. And there's your shock buster on there, your bounce buster. There's your cabling layout, how I've wired the transducer on it. Here's your Here's your strap that keeps it from basically beating to death going down the water. And for those that think you don't want to do it, or if you've forgotten it, I just go to the hardware store, get those stainless steel hex bolts that I'm telling you about, just take it off and reinstall it. You're going to wish you had. You need to put that on there. But then here again is there's your pedal installed, and there it is. There's got plenty of room. You can see how I've got the cabling directed out, and then there's your heading sensor. Here's your wiring going around for your cable steer, and that's what she looks like. So that's the installed product. It does a real good job. So far it's working great. I am going to try to adjust the tension on it. It does have a little bit of a jerk at the beginning of the pedal and forward and reverse, so I'm going to just play with that adjustment screw. As you can see, it's right down here. You can see it says right there you can adjust the pedal tension. So I got to take a little ratchet out there, a little 1/4" drive ratchet with me out on the water with a Phillips bit in it. That's the bit it takes, and that's what I'll use that to get the adjustment. But other than that, everything seems to work really well, and there it is installed. If you like this video and it helped you in any way install your Ultrex, then comment below, subscribe, and like this channel. Thank you very much for watching.